Okay, we are recording. Let's go around and introduce everybody. We have Maximilian is with us, and let's everybody introduce themselves. I'm Gary Coulter. I've been with RChain, I guess, since almost the beginning, and I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm somewhere between a developer and a advocate. I'm really into DApp development, specifically the Art on the Blockchain project. And I call on Daryl.
Hello. Sorry, Gary, what are we doing? Are we introducing ourselves in a more general way?
Yeah, we were. I wanted to get Maximilian some introductions, but since we're all old friends here now, let's just talk about what's on our mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Maximilian, I noticed he was there, and he doesn't seem to be there now.
Yeah, I don't know the name, and I was hoping he or she would introduce themselves.
Oh, yeah, I don't either.
I see they're on Discord. So I'm familiar with Maximilian in that regard. Roscoe.
I think he posts more on Telegram.
Oh, is it Telegram? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was on Telegram for the first time in a while last night, and I guess that's where I remember seeing the name. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we'll just go around what's on everyone's mind. So I guess we're getting closer to Testnet 3. I guess it's imminent, hopefully here, where all the code gets uploaded and they flip the switch. So I don't know if anybody else has any other insight as far as the Testnet 3 status.
It still seems to be the one bug that still needs to get sorted.
The one bug. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. So and later today is the communications working group session, right? Daryl, that's later today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have anything in particular on my mind. I guess the wallet development's coming along. Arvin, he's the front end developer based in China. He's doing a tremendous job on getting all the user account features set up with importing, exporting private keys, and just being able to navigate and get around. So he's going to be starting to work with Tomislav to get it connected to the back end. So within, I guess, a couple of weeks, we'll have a functional RChain wallet. Oh, and Ian, you came up in the conversation the other day, and I'm trying to remember in what context. And I almost have to. It was regarding privacy, a concern, and I have to rewatch the video. I think we were discussing test rev, and maybe kind of gathering my thoughts as far as who should, maybe this was it, to whom should test rev be made available to. So the thought was, the few different thoughts, whether it should be only co-op members, and I think that was Ned's preference. And then the other thought was, well, to anyone, even those outside of the co-op, non-co-op members. So, and I guess it kind of, so we brought up, privacy, concerns about, access to test rev. I don't know, Ian, do you have any thoughts as far as whom test rev should be made available to?
Yeah, how about people who are attending the testing group sessions?
Yeah, well, I guess we wanted to get it into, get a broader distribution to really, with the goal of, kind of putting the wallet through its paces. That I guess the wallet has a certain element of a hardening as well to make sure that it's, it has that capacity and capability as it starts to scale with the user base. So I guess there's only a handful of us in the wallet development group. So there's 5 or so, but I guess ideally get sort of a larger pool of testers to help put it through its paces.
I would say give it to the people who are first the question is to be answered why they want some test rev. So, and it's available to anybody.
Yeah, and test rev has no currency value, so it's toy money, so you can't really use it for anything. And the goal was, so I think Tomislav kind of originally I thought maybe there needs to be an administrator of the test rev, as far as when it comes to allocations, who gets it and so forth. But Tomislav was trying to indicate that, hey, that's what the RChain platform does. That's the manager. So, so I guess the idea is, that there isn't a central administrator for the test rev, that it, So, but we're still a couple weeks out from all that ultimately happening, and as we get closer, we can, flesh out these items or concerns. So hopefully, by the time we flip the switch on the RChain wallet, we'll have these issues or concerns addressed, and everyone will be reasonably, hopefully, on the same page, and we'll feel that we have the correct approach. So, and initially, that first few days or maybe the week, it's just going to be those of us within the wallet development group, and then so I'll regroup, once we get a little bit further along.
Perhaps it could be kind of done in short stages, like start with the group that's involved now, then maybe open it up to members, and then maybe open up from there.
Yeah, and so maybe I'll approach this group, everybody on the Hangout, get all of us kind of ramped up with the wallet, and just go to the various working groups and committees, getting all those. So I think that pool will start to be expanded. It'll be manageable, and people that we can work with that are kind of in the loop on things. So so I'll kind of think through the various scenarios, the pros and cons of each, and have a game plan and be able to support it as we move forward. So
can I ask what the argument was for restricting it strictly to members?
Yeah, that was Ned's concern. I guess when it comes back to security and privacy, and I don't. He didn't really get into specifics, other than perhaps maybe the more obvious ones of just a smaller pool of people, the trusted individuals. But it's for NetZipper's insight, we're talking about my RChain wallet. So we're about a couple of weeks away from my understanding of that being completed, and we're during the wallet discussion, we were talking about test rev and the allocation of test rev and who should have it. So there was 2 points of thought, keeping it to a small group, all of, within the wallet testing group, or within RChain co-op members, or to open it up more broadly to people outside of the RChain co-op. Now, the test rev has no value. It's just throwaway money. So, but I guess we have to kind of think through, what are the potential, if there's any hazards or challenges going down the two different paths. So, I haven't really started thinking through that, but we still have a couple of weeks away until the wallet, my RChain wallet, is completed. So yeah, and even Ian's name came up during the conversation as far as if there's any. Or actually, I guess I was the one who brought it up. Just thinking about if there's any concerns for security, privacy, or anything like that. Oh, not Zipper. I was trying to get him up to speed, and unfortunately, he dropped off. I know he has sometimes some connectivity issues, but yeah. So in all, we're moving along with the wallet, and so that'll be good stuff. Tomislav he's on the core development team, so he's working with the signature signing of a transaction. So the my RChain wallet will also have multi-sig capability. So in the multi-sig comes from an unforgeable name. The address comes from an unforgeable name. So I guess so ultimately, if you want to send someone some rev or test rev, that you can, with the multi-sig, it'll be a requirement to have two people sign it. So that'll be kind of an interesting thing to test out. I've never actually worked with a multi-sig transaction before, so that'll be neat. And then once we get the wallet done, get test rev, all those issues worked out, then the last thing would be to have an offline wallet. So and that doesn't seem to be too complicated. So that'll be a feature within my RChain wallet. So yeah, so that's everything. And then yesterday we had the Dappy developer working group. I wasn't able to attend that, but that video will be available. It's available on the on YouTube in the DVDAO channel. And then Lumwet, the developer of the Dappy, Dappy.tech. So we're creating a Dappy developer user group, which met yesterday as well, right after the Dappy developer working group. So that's for anyone who wants to start developing dApps on the Dappy network, which is a decentralized internet. So good. Well, hey, Ned.
Hey guys, sorry I was late.
No worries.
What's going on?
Oh, we're just kind of going around. I was just talking about our wallet group the other day, and getting everybody up to speed on how the wallet's going.
Anybody know if we're getting the next release out the door? Does anybody know the status of that?
Yeah, don't know the status yet.
Okay.
I haven't heard any new developments since yesterday.
Okay. I mean, I was on the dev stand-up this morning, and they're still working through an issue. It's basically all hands on deck. They're really, really trying to get this out the door. So I was just wondering if anybody had an update.
And Raul will give his update 35 minutes in the debrief.
Yeah. All right. They've pulled Kent back in. Greg is there. Mike stay. So Greg was very clear. This is all hands on deck. So they're using my Zoom room. So.
Oh, okay.
Did you say Kent is back?
He's helping out. He had one of the issues was something he had that he was the expert in. So I'm not sure if he's online with them, but he offered some pointed suggestions on how to resolve issues. So.
Gotcha. Is there anything we can do if it's all hands on deck? Probably not, but I guess we can ask.
It's for the devs.
Okay. I'll put the link to the Dappy video, which was yesterday, which was very interesting. He's come a long way on that.
Thank you, Gary.
It's not in the standard format, but it's quite watchable.
Oh, that's recorded to the Zoom cloud? Is that right?
Yeah, Thomas Law had to handle recording yesterday. I couldn't even get into Zoom,
Oh, okay.
and so he chose to save it to the cloud, which is kind of an interesting alternative. Yeah. I'm still thinking about the implications of that.
Yeah, Zoom Cloud is really handy. The quality is not great, but it's passable, and you are limited into how much you could store up there. But it is very easy to use.
Well, if anybody else
actually,
have
I did have one other thought. There's something I've been thinking about as far as, so say, we're here at Testnet 3, imminently in the today or tomorrow, and then we've got mainnet in the next 30 days. And I guess maybe this might be more of a question or a topic to bring up during the communications working group, as far as collectively, as I guess our group, this informal group, and then more broadly, kind of bringing awareness to this approach, or countdown to mainnet. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on what. Well, I guess that's something I'll bring up during the communications working group. But it's over the next 30 days, kind of building the excitement to the mainnet launch.
Hey, Steve, where did this communications working group come up with the communications policy that you submitted to the board?
No, that was Christian Pearson's creation.
This communications working group came out of myself and Jim Weitzcarver talking about stuff, talking a bit about like my new position at the co-op and stuff.
Because that communications policy, I was surprised to see it go to the board without going to the governance committee or be worked on by anyone other than Christian, who had a pretty draconian view of privacy, asking every member who participates in a working group or a governance or in a working group or committee to sign a binding non-disclosure agreement.
He ran it by me, Ian, and I felt it. I felt it is justified in some situations. I told him I would sign it to be on the governance committee, but I did expect for him to run it by the governance committee before it went to the board. But say la vie.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, and that's was a call on my part. As far as it was more of the complete package of, Christian he's been working on the 2019 business roadmap and supporting documents, and then he also creating the communications policy, and I mentioned to him that, hey, this would be good to bring this up during the communications working group.
It also
He's-
outlawed
yeah.
the use of Zoom, saying that all meetings would have to happen on Discord. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there that I very much disagree with. I don't think it's the right process to just bring that to the board without discussion among working groups, members, committees, anything.
Yeah.
First, you guys have to realize we have a company, we have staff to kind of do a runaround, I think was, I don't want to use the word disrespectful, but we have policies, we have HR, Bill runs HR, right? We have staff members, and I thought in some ways it was trying to co-opt that. And I was really actually also surprised it went right to the board without getting Bill to approve it, getting Greg to approve it. That kind of draconian change in how the company operates. Now, at the same time, I understand Christian's frustration, and I think this document was born out of frustration. But guys, it's not like we haven't been talking about this stuff. We had H3 Muni, Bill and I, and others have had lots of discussions on internal process and procedures. This kind of wholesale change in most companies, I mean, come on.
Also recognizing that a lot of what we do as a co-op is by volunteers. And we want to encourage participation, not make it harder for people and more onerous for them to get in and help out.
I think the wise thing to do would be to address what Christian's concerns are, and then try to see if they are truly a concern, and then B,
who the fuck is Christian?
He's changed his name a few times on Discord. I think this week it's Black Kite.
Yeah, maybe we should have a rule that you have one identity and you have to stick.
Oh, I'm confused. I mean, fuck. First time I'm hearing this guy, but anyways.
Christian
And this is being
Pearson
recorded.
is the guy who does the
Apologies.
And this is typically published on YouTube.
That's another thing.
In a DiviDAO group, right? It's not published by co-op, right?
Right.
Yeah, DiviDAO.
It's interesting. Maybe we shouldn't be recording when we're discussing internal policies of the co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
I mean, guys, we're walking a fine line. Like, I wasn't hired because I'm new on the block in terms of how to run big companies and major organizations. Bill wasn't hired because he has no experience in HR. And for Christian, who has neither, and then you guys to support that, in some ways, I just find it very disrespectful.
Well, let me add a bit of color to that, Ned. I think Christian's concerns are only with non-employee members of the co-op, and let me look at the question he asked me, by the way.
I mean, when I read through the document, I just got the sense that it was a understandably angry attempt to try to get a process in place without understanding the fact that we have some of these processes already, and it's not necessarily here the process that's at fault.
Yeah, he asked me when I requested access to the business plan. He asked me if I was an employee or a contractor, and I said neither. I'm a volunteer. So,
So yeah, let's maybe break down into that smaller piece. So the 2019 business plan or business roadmap. So as we work through collectively, as RChain staff, working groups and committees, and board of directors, to have one document as a document that everyone refers to has advantages. So it's often called what's the business plan, or in this case the business roadmap, and that's the information in there is going to be confidential information. So the thought is that if this is in fact confidential and privileged information, then the individuals who have access to that to be able to view it should have some type of non-disclosure agreement with RChain. So that's with that
You're talking
point, I mean,
one document.
And guys, you realize this, okay, sorry, I didn't realize my camera was off, sorry. And guys, you realize this is totally against everything we are radically transparent, right? Our source code of our most secret technology is open source. And so it's an interesting, it's just interesting. It's like a 180-degree shift. Now, maybe it's needed, I don't know, but I don't think that's what's needed at this point.
So who with that type of issue would so this communication policy that as it was presented in regards to non-disclosure agreements, who would be the how would any type of decisions or recommendations be made in regards to that?
Well, I think there is like a procedure. Like, for example, we are forming a working group, the communications working group.
Mm-hmm.
Once that is kind of more firmly established, at some point we will approach the governance committee and see if it can be turned into a committee. And once it gets to that point, then the governance committee puts forth proposals to the board, and the board can say yay or nay. So I think there is a procedure in place that I think would be good to be adhered to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to say one more thing. I don't think the issue is, again, I get Christian's frustration. I don't think the issue is and people, it's also kind of implied in there that people aren't going to meetings and doing their work. So and I see the problem as actually something very different. I see the problem is we have no money, right? We have people here who could totally build and do work. And the problem is we have no money. We lost all our portfolio companies. We have very few people building dApps. We have no ecosystem. And we have no money to advance that and further that. And I think what Christian's major frustration is he's trying to figure out a way to go get funding. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he wants to start giving out marching orders to people and having a way to get them to actively speak to investors. And it's not like we haven't been doing that. So I get that frustration level, but it's almost like it's not solving the right problem. So to me, the problem to be solved is we need funding so we can put plans that we haven't already on the drawing board, so we can actually execute that. And in addition to funding, we need to get the software delivered. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Ned, in your honest opinion, how far are we from getting software delivered or reaching what everyone's asking about, mainnet?
Mainnet I can't answer. Right now I'm focused on Testnet 3 and getting cost accounting working. Listen, The last 100 feet is sometimes the most difficult, right? And so I'm happy that Greg gave the marching orders this morning that it's all hands on deck, and Rao has opened up a shared Zoom room, and they all just need to be programming together. Nobody by themselves at this point. They need to be together, multiple eyes on the code to figure out what this bug is. And maybe they have already. So that would be wonderful, right? So once that's done, we can release testnet 3 and start the hardening process. So we could be anywhere from it's been done in the last hour to it's imminent to it may take, another day or two. But we're right on the cusp. I've seen this before. In many times, you also have to be careful that people don't start imagining things in the code and start rewriting code because that's also another tendency. So we just need to keep it, and I think they are. I think they're keeping it very focused, and I'm hopeful that end of today. I just keep being hopeful that they're just right on the cusp of getting this out the door. And,
Thank you.
And that's my honest opinion, right? So software development is difficult. I don't know if you have experience with software development, but this happens, and it's unfortunate that we're so behind the timeline at this point. But
also, Motion Factory, in just about 15 minutes, one of our project managers, Raul Bamdapat, is going to give a full technical update on the weekly debrief. So I'd say definitely tune into that, and he'll entertain questions to that as well. So you can really drill down and get more detail into what exactly is missing from getting the next release out.
Lovely, Ian. Thank you, brother. Awesome.
Sure. And I'll send you the link to that in case you don't have it.
Yeah, brilliant. That'd be great. Thank you.
Who are you, Motion Factory? I don't think I've seen you here
It's
before.
crypto videos.
Yep, I used to be the old service provider of all the motion graphics back in the day. I've been a holder since the early days, and I haven't sold a single token, holding on to a dream here, and just really following closely as to the developments and whatnot since we've spectacularly crashed and whatever. But always holding on to the hope and the dream, and then just kind of following along as we go, watching all the releases on Testnet. And yeah, so I'm a complete noob when it comes to the technical side of things, but always good to ask the questions. And I suppose I'm just keeping the dream alive, guys.
Hey, great to see you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm just curious, what makes you passionate about RChain?
To be honest with you, of late I've been representing a couple of different platforms, like Tezos Foundation, the Telos Foundation as well, the Facton Protocol, a couple of different projects and protocols whereby the guys use us. And I must be honest, I just want to honor HJ here tonight. And HJ, it's good to see you actually. If it wasn't for HJ, I would never have been in the first place. I remember reaching out about a year ago. I've always had the sales sort of blood in me, and I came across the RChain project by default, and I decided to reach out to someone in the community, and it just happened to be HJ. And when I chatted to him, for some reason, I always thought this thing was like a gimmick and a scam, but he convinced me to join the co-op and pay my membership fee, which I did. And then I went through the whole thing on the voting and all that kind of governance stuff. And slowly but surely, my work got approved and voted in. And as I started to produce the videos and start to work with some guys on team and whatever, in fact, I'm very privileged to say that I've actually worked with Greg personally on some projects. I learned more, and I'm excited about the nature of the project. I must be honest, I'm kind of a drama queen when it comes to like all the ins and outs of what's happened in the last season and stuff. But in saying that, I've always been a believer, and I don't know enough to understand what could happen when we do finally reach that goal, that end milestone. And a part of me feels like it could be massive. So I've always maintained a heart close to the project, if this makes sense, what I'm telling you guys. I'm not a developer. I'm not a technical kind of guy. I'm a marketing kind of guy. I'm a visual kind of guy. And since being involved since those days, I've always just had a little bit of like a passion for the project, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've stuck it out, and I remember working with Patrick Mockridge, I think is his name, Mockridge or something.
Yep.
He was McGuire, yeah, he was on back in the day as well, even before Archon 3, and I was just involved in these like really young, dynamic, energetic, enthused people, and it was kind of sad to see over the last year that guys just slowly faltered and just left. Obviously, we all know that, and I just stuck it out, and I just just hung in the silent background there, kind of watching how things were developing. And I've never given up my flag. I've always held the RChain flag, and I still feel like if we can do this thing, it's going to be huge. And I still want to be a part of it, and I still feel like I'd love to be involved. And I'm not always there at all these meetings and things. I'm busy with other stuff as well. I've got a life to live, but I love to come back and check in, and I love to see familiar faces like all you guys, and especially HJ and a few others. Jim's white cover, I've done work with him with the Bring Your Own Identity project that he was running. So yeah, I've got some ins and outs with some of the guys, and basically, if that answers your question, that's why I'm still around. I just want to see this thing happen, and I really hope that we can do this, and we can all pull together, and everyone can just do their thing and just make this fucking thing happen.
Hey, this is great. Thanks so much for sharing that. I had no idea that you've been involved in those degrees, and where have we been all these years? I'd love to make your acquaintance more. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it is. I think the potential is absolutely huge, and to me, the potential will come when the collective intelligence of us as a global species wakes up. It's all about the power of our chain. To me, that's why I'm sticking around.
Sure.
And, yeah.
Brilliant.
Motion Factory.
Yeah, cool.
You say you've been involved with Telos and EOS. Have you run into the HyperDAO?
Yes. No, Gary, like with any new blockchain that happens to utilize me and my services, which is motion graphics and videos and stuff, it's always like, because each project's unique in its own way. It's kind of like a learning curve every time I get involved, and it can like you are, well, not like you actually, the opposite of you. I'm not a technical kind of guy, so I've got to learn the hard way and kind of get stuck in and get my hands dirty. But so the Telos Foundation, from what I understand, is sort of related to the EOS Foundation. You must check it out, guys. If anyone you're going to have a quick stab at it, it's quite an interesting project. It's still very new, and it's doing pretty well. There's a lot of guys coming from the EOS platform joining ranks there. Anyways, long story short, and then there's like the Tezos Foundation, which is also heavily got a big governance banner over it. So normally, like just between me and you guys, I'm always hunting for work. I'm always out there looking for opportunities, and so I'll normally pitch stuff, and I'll reference other past clients and their projects to showcase in order to land the work. And that's kind of how I do my thing day in and day out, and so that's how I kind of find these gaps with these particular foundations or projects or platforms. And so yeah, just getting back to the whole RChain thing, it was one of my first entries into a serious sort of well-governed platform back in the day. I mean, I remember the voting and the governance website dedicated to that was amazing. So so Gary, the Telos Foundation is quite an interesting. If you want, ping me and I'll send you a few links, or whoever wants to check it out. Very, very interesting. Yeah.
Well, the Dig Life, I don't know if you remember Dig Life, but Dig Life is kind of close to RChain, and Dig Life is getting involved with Telos through something.
I saw that. I actually saw that. I did see that. Yes.
Great.
And in fact, I saw Jim's name mentioned in one of the chats. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's great. It's good to know. Very, very good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary.
Okay, we've got about 10 minutes. Anybody else have anything that's hot? Ian, are you going to the platform thing in New York? I know you went one time.
Yeah, I loved it. I think I went last year, but no, I'm not attending this year.
I think it starts tomorrow. I'm looking for any good streamed videos. I'll share them in appropriate channels if I run across anything.
Yeah. I met the guy who does the all the AV, and this year as well, I think he's going to record all the sessions and put them up on the Internet Archives like last year. So
Yep.
you should be able to catch all of it.
Great.
Okay, guys. Well, apologies if I threw this off a little bit.
No,
And very
fine.
good to see you all. And I'm going to head out now. I've got some work to execute, but I'm looking forward to Testnet 3 and all the rest of the developments. Thank you, Steve, for everything. Thanks, Ned, Gary, Ian, Daryl, HJ. Thank you so much. And looking forward to seeing how.
Oops, you're muted. Motion Factory, you muted. Okay, he's gone.
Oh, he's
Anything
gone.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember what his handle was, but he's changed his handle, and I could never get him to remind me. Do anybody remember what he used to go by? Crypto videos. Yeah. Okay, that rings a bell. See you, everybody. If you're leaving now, I'll I'll stop the recording here and upload it shortly.
Okay. Thank you, Gary,
Thanks,
for
Gary.
hosting.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Yep. Take care,
Fingers
guys.
crossed.
Bye all.